Hello and welcome back to Serendipity Intended. It's January 3rd and it's time for day 3 of Junk Journal January 2026. I am so glad that you are here with me. So I am doing this particular challenge not in a junk journal, but in my daily journal. And this is the cover for that. I'm actually using the Hobonichi Techo for my January journal, and I did go ahead and glue into a page of that journal the prompt list for the challenge, and day 3 says time worn. And so I was thinking, okay, how can I approach that prompt and still sort of stick with my style that I have sort of in mind. And I kept coming back to the idea of an old photograph. So I went through my stash, and here is January 3rd in my journal. I went through my stash and I found some small size photographs that I thought I could use. And so I've got them here. These came from a digital, I want to say they were from a Ephemerimber, maybe 2024, 2023. But I've had them in my stash, and I kind of thought, at first I grabbed this lady because Timeworn, she's older, and I thought that could be really fun. And then I saw this guy, and I thought, well, in a way, maybe this is her when she was younger, you know, just dressed in overalls. And then I found this one and I thought, okay, well, maybe there's sort of, you know, like the same person over time. So I thought that might be kind of fun to do something, you know, featuring them down the page like this. And then I still have some space here to do some journaling. So this is my focal point, I guess, where I'm starting. And so we're going to go from there. I have this scrap that's been on my table from Ephemerimber, and it needs to be just a teeny bit shorter. And I'm just gonna put this underneath here, like so. And actually, I think maybe I'll do them like this and pull her out just a little bit more like that. And so yeah, I'm just kind of playing with placement. And then I had all of these papers because I did want to add something else towards the bottom here just for some color. So again, I just grabbed some things. This is another digital. I don't know, I like the warm tones here, and this feels actually a little bit cool to me. So again, I think I'm going to set that aside. This feels a little bit warmer. Maybe it's too busy though. It kind of detracts, although it does work well with the colors that are in the background. So that's a maybe. I did like this one just for the colors, but I'm not sure that I really, oh, actually I sort of like that. Maybe I'll hang on to that one as a possibility. Here, I'm having a little bit of a fight. So I'm gonna use a trick here. I don't want to glue this down yet. I'm just going to put, the smallest dab. My glue stick is gumming up on me here. The smallest dab of glue, just to sort of tack it down. And then I can come back and peel it up when I'm ready to actually glue it down. But that way it doesn't scooch all over the place as I sort of play with these images. All right, so I do have some other bits here. I've got this yellow, which I thought would be neat, but flipping it over, I'm actually really liking this plaid. I think I've got it. I don't even think I need to play with anything else. That makes me really happy. I am going to hang on to this because that sort of works. So yeah, we're gonna go down this path. So I'm definitely liking this. I do want to tear this a little bit right here, just to give that a touch more interest. Yeah, like so. And then I've got this little snippet of gold. I'm gonna find a place for that. I'm not sure where yet. I do have this little fragment I think I'm gonna tear off this way just to hide this straight edge and soften that just a bit. So we've got kind of that going on. Okay, I am loving the beginnings of this. And is there somewhere else to include? No, I think I'm just gonna keep it simple here, and then something here with this. I'm not sure what. Maybe I can find a word fragment and put that. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do with that. Okay, fantastic. So this is sort of my basic layout. This is definitely going to stay where it is. I'm very happy with that. I am going to grab my pencil and kind of decide and mark where I want this. All right, and then everything else will be based off of those pieces. All right, so I think I'm going to go ahead, since I've already sort of got this glued down, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it glued and come back with my art glitter glue. Yeah, along the edges. I think I said this in another video, but one of the things that I like about crafting and gluing things down in the Hobonichi is that the paper has this very lightly printed grid, which makes it really easy to line things up. And I very much appreciate that. Now, I'm going back to this prompt of being time-worn, and I'm thinking, wouldn't it be fun to make the images feel a little bit more worn? So this is, it's a dauber, but it has a texture like a filing pad on it. So I'm just going to go over this just a bit and see if I can distress this paper just the slightest bit to give it a little bit of an aged, time-worn appearance. Yeah, there we go. And maybe some around some of these edges as well. That works. And then a little dusty. I'm also wondering if I should go ahead and give it a little bit of a crinkle. And then I think use my vintage photo. It's feels a little bit more yellow with the distressed oxide, and do not a ton on the edges, just a bit on some of the edges, but then to kind of go over some of that cracking, to sort of highlight that just the teeniest bit, so it looks maybe a little bit on this edge here. So it just looks a little bit more aged and worn. And then again, now I definitely want to make sure I go over the back because I have wrinkled this. It's not going to lay perfectly flat, but I still want it to stay stuck down. I did make a little mark here so I would know where I had it before. And I'll go ahead and put it there and glue it mostly flat. So you can sort of see the little bit of time-wornness, and I ended up tearing it there a bit and add some ink there to highlight that. Okay, maybe bend up that edge a little bit, leave that loose. Maybe this one too. Just subtle. I don't want to create a ton of bulk in this because it's got to last me all year. But just a little bit there. And then I had wanted to use this to minimize some of these straight lines, but I also really like this accidental tear that I got. So I'm going to glue this down in roughly the place I had planned, but in such a way that there just happens to be this lovely curve in the paper so that I still see that tear. Okay, so that works. And then these pictures, I also think I want to distress. I'm going to use the same Distress Oxide because I have, oops, that's not my Distress Oxide. Oopsie, oopsie, this is. I have a little bit of a white border, which I don't mind, but I also definitely want the edges of this to pop against the white background. So do that, give it a little bit more of an aged look. Are you using a pre-made journal like I am for your junk journal January, or are you using an actual junk journal? I'd love to hear from you in the chat about what you're doing. I normally do use a junk journal for junk journal January, but I decided to do something just a little bit different this year and change it up. Okay, so I definitely love Granny here. I'm going to put her a little higher than I had planned, again, because of this folded piece. And I think I'm going to put her down first. And then I will place the other two off of her. All right, so let her be straight on since she is the focus. And then do I want the girl under? I think I want like this. All right, so let me mark again that corner and this corner just so I get them back where I want them. I am a teacher and I go back to school on Monday. So today's Saturday, so in 2 days. I like my job, I love my students, but I am not looking forward to going back to school. This has been a great break, and I got a lot that I wanted to do done, but as always, there's still more that I want to do, and I wish I had just a little bit longer, right? But I think no matter how long it was, it probably wouldn't be long enough. Okay, so I did have this washi here, and I kind of think I do want to use a bit of it here just to add another layer. I'm gonna go ahead and cut actually right along this line that's in the washi itself, and it's actually locomotives, which feels like it fits with the idea of time worn. Maybe right there, just for another little layer. And then I do want to put this here. I definitely want to use the same. I'm going to leave this white though, so that it pulls the white from the page and also pops out a little bit. Maybe put it right like that. Yeah. And so I'm adding this for just a teeny pop of color and contrast. First of all, to pull your eye down to our focal lady here, but also to serve as a sort of a plain tone-on-tone background for some words. I love using these phrases. This is a small talk set from Tim Holtz's Ideology. And so I looked through these just to kind of see what worked. And this one here, Make It Count, sort of speaks to me. So I'm going to grab that off of here. Oops, I'm peeling it off the backing. That was dumb. Tuck this away. It does not want to be tucked. So I accidentally, instead of peeling it off of the sticker thing, I peeled it off of its own backing. So let me glue this down a little bit and then also add some glue to the back. And then put that there, like so. Okay. And I think that might be it for the gluing down. I did want to kind of revisit some of the journaling that I did a number of years ago, and a lot of that included some mark making. So I'm going to grab one of my new Micron pens that I gifted to myself for Christmas, and I'm going to use that to just make a little bit of marks onto this page. So this is a Micron 005, so it's super thin. And I'm just going to do a teeny bit of mark making on the page here. I've zoomed in a little bit just so you can see what I'm doing a little closer. Actually, I think I'm going to zoom in just a teeny bit further. So I'm just going to use a hatching technique. So some lines going in one direction and then the same number of lines going in the opposite directions. I don't know if you can see that. And then I'll continue that pattern in the space, but alternating so that you end up with a little bit of sort of a basket weave effect going on. And I don't know if you can see that. So it just adds a little bit of dimension there. And then maybe I'll do the same thing up here, but so again, just almost a little bit of shading. And then I like to do things in threes. So maybe do a little bit here. Again, just the tiniest bit. And then some squiggles around my title. There we go, just like that. Make that stand out a little bit. And I think we're almost done. So the last thing that I want to do, I like to add in here. So first thing I need to do is, I do like to do the weather, and while it started out kind of sunny, it's now a little cloudy, so I'm going to draw a cloud with some sun behind it, and then I'll come back later and put the high. It's pretty chilly today, but I'll write the high in. And now I can use some colored pencils to add some color to this. Okay, so I've got some colors here. So Prismacolor Goldenrod, an Artist Loft Gray, and then another Prismacolor. This is a light umber, just because I feel like those colors will work well with what is here. Actually, I think I'd also like to grab a little bit of sort of a turquoisey blue, or maybe I'll use this slate gray. It's a little bit of a blue gray. I think that'll pull out the blue here. So let's see, I think I need to sharpen this. Oh, I can't locate my sharpener on my desk. I think I might have packed it in my go bag and it's not here, so I'm just gonna wing it. So we'll color in the 3 with the yellow, and we'll color in the sun with the yellow. And then I think I'm going to use the light umber just really lightly to create a bit of a background for the number 3. This may not even read on camera because I'm super lightly doing it, like hardly putting any pressure at all, just to make that stand out a bit. And then I'm going to use the gray to give some color to the clouds, and then the slate gray to create a little bit of color for the sky. There, that works. I like that. So kind of pleased with how that turned out. All right, let me zoom out just a bit so you can see the whole page again. And I want to bring out a little bit of the blue that's in this paper, and just add a little bit more color. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to do some mark making around the corners here of this person, just to, almost as though they were those old-fashioned corners that they used to put photographs in, but I'm not going to go over the photograph with them. And maybe just some X's up here, real rough, to add some color. And then kind of underline the title a bit. Okay, that works. And then I've still got some space to journal here and maybe add some other doodles. But that is it. That is Timeworn. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you have a great day, and that you also make something beautiful for yourself. Until next time, make a great day.